Hello family! So today we're going to be making fish with spaghetti squash. If you guys have heard in a different video, I at one point was on the elimination diet, which is a diet that can help you figure out what your food intolerances are. It's a really cool diet. You might be getting, acne from dairy and you don't even realize it, and you're wondering, how come my acne isn't clearing up? It's because you're eating dairy, but you never gave yourself a minute to test out whether it's giving you acne or not. So I really like the elimination diet. I'll put a link in the description if you want to learn more. It's very restrictive, so there's not a lot of things you can eat. I was kind of eating the same thing every day, but I don't mind that. I do that anyway. But anyway, this is one thing I made. I really like this recipe. Spaghetti squash is really, really clutch. Not easy to work with, not always easy to find, but very, very clutch. Anyway, we're gonna get right into what you'll need to make this meal. First, you're gonna need 8 ounces of tilapia or swai fish. Then you're gonna need half a spaghetti squash. You're going to need a tablespoon of truffle oil, that's kind of optional, and some salt. Actually, the truffle oil is really optional. You're gonna need a baking dish or a baking sheet to bake the spaghetti squash in, and a tablespoon. Okay, so first we're going to scoop out the inside of the spaghetti squash. Unfortunately, you do not have the footage here of me cutting the spaghetti squash open. It is quite the process, okay? It's kind of dangerous as well, but I'll probably try to link to a different video where I show how I cut through spaghetti squash. Not saying that's how you should do it, but that is how I do it, and it works for me. So anyway, I definitely think it's essential to take out the guts inside. One time I tried to bake it with the guts inside. I think I just forgot. I don't think I did on purpose. And yeah, I would not recommend that ever. So take out the guts, put it in some sort of compost thing, and get ready to bake. Oh, sorry, your oven should be preheating at 425. Probably should have mentioned that. Your oven should be preheating at 425 degrees. So now that your oven is, already heated, you're gonna put the spaghetti squash face down. Now, here's a secret to spaghetti squash. If you want, you can poke holes on the back of the squash, and it makes it cook differently. That's what they usually recommend. That's what they usually recommend online. I just stopped doing it because it's a lot of work. It's really hard to poke holes through the squash, and I find that it doesn't really change the squash that much. Anyway, we finished cooking it in record time because this is YouTube. And what you want to see with your squash is you want to see it really come out really nice. I would have preferred more browning on the sides, but this is good enough. You can see that the squash is really coming out like spaghetti, and that's really what you want. It shouldn't come out in short chunks. It should come out like spaghetti. I didn't really pay attention to the time as I was narrating, so maybe I'll put on the screen how much time it really took, but it's 9 o'clock right now, so there's that. Anyway, moving on. We're going to go right into baking the tilapia. Now, I originally did this recipe with swai, but I think I just happened to have tilapia instead of swai in my fridge at the time of filming this. And tilapia is a better fish anyway. It has a better nutritional profile. It has a better reputation in terms of pollution, maybe even in terms of mercury. But anyway, we're gonna cook the tilapia. It usually doesn't take very long. And once the tilapia is done, the dish is pretty much done after that. Okay, so while the fish is cooking, we definitely, after the spaghetti squash has cooled down a bit, we want to transfer it to a bowl. I suggest getting a fairly large bowl. This is a lot of spaghetti squash. I did get a fairly large squash. Sometimes the squash comes much smaller, so you may not have as much squash to eat. But you know, just get what you find at the store, get what speaks to you. If you want a big squash, get it. If you want a small squash, get it. Sometimes it depends on the time of year. So spaghetti squash is a winter vegetable. It's in season in the winter, or rather it's a winter squash. So it's in season during the winter. So when it gets closer to spring, they usually stop selling them so large, unless you're, you know, at a Safeway and you're probably getting GMO. I'm just saying. So, which is fine. I mean, I think that's what happened here, to be honest. So just do what you can. Do what you can. It all tastes the same to me. So yeah, we want to put this on a plate and wait for the tilapia to come out the oven. So the tilapia has just come out the oven, and we're going to just put it into the plate and start the seasoning process. So when I first made this recipe, I didn't really, I used spaghetti squash, and I would just put salt, and I didn't add any oil. And wait, is that true? Is that true? I think it is true. Yeah, I just added salt, and I ended up adding oil over time because I felt like, you know, this is already a very low calorie meal. It could use a little something, you know what I mean? Like I didn't think it needed salt at first. I was really fine with it. Sorry, I didn't think it needed oil at first. I was fine with it without the oil, but over time I was like, let's just add a little bit something to this dish. You know what I mean? I feel like it's not even abiding by my rules of a balanced meal. You know, there's barely any oil to be found here. Let's just throw some in. So I decided this dish can definitely handle some truffle oil. Truffle oil is a little hard to find. I don't always find it at Walmart, but I typically find it at Safeway or Albertsons, or one of those slightly more niche stores that have slightly more options. You probably can find it at a Whole Foods. I never looked at a Whole Foods. Yeah, so I just feel like this is one of those recipes that can handle the boldness of truffle oil. So drizzle it on and mix it all up. Anyway, this is what the recipe is looking like when all is said and done. It's a pretty filling meal. I remember at one point this would remind me of like ramen noodles, and I'm sure most people are like, are you serious? Like this looks nothing like ramen noodles. But I don't know. I guess I was in a different frame of mind at the time. Here's the price per meal breakdown. Here's the nutrition facts. I hope you guys are having a really lovely day. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, share the video with your friends and family, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!